Psychology in India is not as straightforward as people think. Hi, I am Tanisha and I am a psychologist. And if you are a psychology student or someone in this field, so the chances are at some point you have felt confused. And honestly, I have felt too. And that's why I have come up with the series called What It Actually Takes to Be a Psychologist in India. And in this series, I want to talk about the real side of this field, not just limited to academics, but emotionally, professionally, financially, and personally. And when I talk about this degree, I feel that it is not just a degree. It's something that we pursue out of some motivation, some inspiration, curiosity, and sometimes this field becomes confusing and irritating, and sometimes everything all at once. But why should you listen to me? Because I have been through the same experiences and I am building myself in this field of psychology with my practice, with the mentorship I have, with my own learnings and self work. I am here to simply share some clarity and insight regarding this field and make things simpler and be your buddy in this journey. Welcome to the episode 1, the roadmap nobody gave psychology students. When we start off for pursuing psychology, it looks very simple. BA, MA, and voila, you are a psychologist. But that's true on a degree, but not actually in real life, because it comes with a lot of questions and confusion. Okay, so let's start with part 1, the dream versus the reality. When we start off our career, we dream that it starts with a motive and passion and curiosity to understand human mind, to understand humans emotions, to be able to help them. And it is very inspiring and very emotional to us and very personal to us. But then Indian psychology system enters the chat. Then we are faced with a lot of confusion and not a single clear path or guidance that what should be done and what will be suitable for us and what will align with our goals and our competence, and what what can we expect from pursuing XYZ. When we start off, we are bombarded with a lot of questions, that the confusion, that what specialization should we choose, what college should be we choose, this college is not good or that college is not good, seats are limited, what about RCI and licensing, what about if I need to do extra certifications, and all of this. And I feel that all of this makes students completely lost in all of these questions. So here I am to address a few questions in this video. Okay, let's just start with point A, BA to MA journey. Okay, so when you transition from your BA to your MA, the question comes in that what specialization should I choose? There is clinical psychology, there is organizational psychology, counseling psychology, is sports psychology, there is child psychology, so many fields. But if we look at broadly, which most of the institutes provide, is clinical counseling and IO. But the confusion comes here that which specialization should I choose? And somewhere I feel that these decisions and are derived by emotions, sometimes by students, because the emotions, when it comes to clinical psychology, it is felt, it is thought like that it is prestigious to have the title of clinical psychologist. When it comes to counseling psychologist, few things that after degree I can start off with my practicing immediately and it won't be a tough journey for me. And when it comes to IO, again, people who choose IO feels like that they will start off with financial stability quickly. But In that process you forget to understand that how your life is going to look like on a day to day basis when you select all of these particular field. Okay, what you can expect, and one of the main question that you need to ask, that how I am aligned with all of these field. Okay, this brings us to part 2, whether we should go for clinical counseling or IO. Okay, so let me break this down to you. When it comes to clinical psychology, you deal a lot with a clinical setup. It is related to diagnosing, assessment, and rehabilitation. In counseling, we deal with issues, we just don't diagnose, but you need to have all the understanding that a clinical psychologist do. You need to have understanding of all the disorders, you need to have the understanding of how to identify all of those disorders. The only difference is that just you cannot clinically diagnose someone. Okay, but you need to know all the therapies, you need to know all the techniques. Okay, and when it comes to IO, I feel that people who choose IO, there is a slight guilt that they carry, that we started off as thinking that we want to help people and we want to give one-on-one therapy, but now I ended up in IO, or I have to choose IO, or this is what the only option that they are left with at some, in some cases. So the thing is that IO is also important because in corporates also mental health is very important. It's just that you are implementing all your learnings in a different setting. So while deciding these three fields, you need to know that what aligns with you in terms of down the line 4, 5, 10 years, or how many years you choose to work in a career, build a career, in which field you want to build a career, and in which field you will be able to sustain. That you need to keep in mind while making these career decisions and choices. No field, no specialization is superior or inferior. Now coming to part 3, which is the RCI confusion. Okay, so a lot of people think that RCI certificate, like licensing, is very important to be a practicing psychologist. But the thing here is that RCI only regulates clinical psychologists. The term, the position specifically legally regulated by RCI is clinical psychologist and not counseling psychologist. Now, if you are a clinical psychologist or you want to be a clinical psychologist, only doing MA in clinical psychology is not enough. You will still be called as psychologist. And whereas for counseling psychologist, you can practice after your MA as a counseling psychologist. It's just that RCI does not regulate, but according to the Mental Health Act 2017, counseling psychologist comes under a broader healthcare framework, about which I will give you a summarized detail in the description. You can read that out and have a clear understanding. So it doesn't mean that ethically you are doing anything wrong if you are practicing after MA. It's just that the titles and the segregation is very unclear. So I hope that gives you some clarity. Okay. So now coming to part 4, which is MA enough? And I would say that any degree is there to just give you a structure and a basic understanding of everything related to that field, but you cannot solely depend on the information that, or the knowledge, or whatever you have read during the course of your degree. To be a competent psychologist, you need to expand yourself more than just academics. Okay, the question might come up that, do I need to do more certifications, do I need to go for MPhil? But the thing is that it might take a financial load as well, because coming from a middle class or lower middle class family, or maybe coming from a family where you need to start providing financially and you have responsibilities, every wrong move or any decision that takes longer years will feel financially expensive, right? So after MA you can start practicing, to build the skills, to build the competency, to feel that okay, you need to learn via your experiencing, you need to learn via your exposure. You should not solely rely on your degree and your syllabus, okay? That doesn't mean that you should go for xyz amount of certifications, xyz amount of further education, because I know there is a lot of comparison that people are doing so many certifications, people are going abroad, there are already so many psychologists with number of years of experiences out there, with number of followers and having number of clients, and all of this creates a very fearful environment and an inferior environment for a budding psychologist. But what I feel that out of all of these fears, you should focus on continuous and conscious learning, and focus on what kind of a psychologist and a human being that you want to become at the end of this journey, and that learning should contribute to you becoming a good and a competent psychology in return. Okay, I hope what I said that made sense to you. If you have any questions, any queries, you can drop a comment and I will of course reply to it. And with the next video where will talk about that why psychology degree alone is not enough, and what else required to be a competent psychologist and be a confident psychologist. Okay, so yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.